My requirement is in the caller system administrator detail, system administrator name is there and system administrator details are here. If I change value to Walton, Walton details should be populated here. Walton details should be populated here. If I change Tummy, Tummy details should be populated here. If I change it to Anusha, Anusha details should be populated here. That means whoever the caller you selected here, that caller detail should be populated here. So now, as we are changing the value on the caller field, the on change client script will run. Okay. So as soon as you are changing the value on the caller field, this caller details value should be populated. So here the value is getting changed in the caller field or not? So now, as soon as you select the caller here, that particular caller related detail should be populated here. See, previous one is on load. On the form load, we are able to populate the current logged in user details, current logged in username and his details. Here, as soon as you change the caller here, that caller detail should be populated here. Requirement is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
So now what am I going to do is I am going to create a on change client script because the value is getting changed on the caller field, right? I am going to write on change client script on the caller field. Right click configure client scripts. So I am selecting on change here. On change on which field? Caller field. So caller field. So usually what happens is that you will select on change, you will forget to specify the name. That mistakes you all will do. So make sure there is a field name. If you are actually writing everything correct and you are not selecting the field name, means it will not work. And here, so caller is a reference field or not? Reference field, right? For reference fields, do we use g underscore form dot get value or g underscore form dot get reference? Get reference. So here, just remember where details is equal to empty. I am taking a variable with empty value. Okay. Where caller is equal to g underscore form dot get reference. You underscore caller. Guys, please go on mute. Jahnavi, please go on mute. G underscore form dot get reference. So if you want first name, you have to use dot first underscore name. Okay. So caller first name. Okay. So here you are actually taking first name. Last name. Okay. Last name you are getting. Name you are getting. Okay. So you are getting the caller first name, last name, name, full name. This first name is actually a field on the user table. See here, if you just click on this preview icon, right? This first name value, first name I have taken. This last name I have taken. Okay. This full name, there will be another field called name. That field name I am actually taking here in this script. Okay. So what am I going to do is, I am going to combine all these first name, last name, full name, combine. I am going to combine. I am going to concatenate, we can say. Okay. Details plus is equal to caller first name okay. G underscore form dot set value U underscore caller underscore details comma details. So as soon as you change the caller, what will happen is that selected caller first name, last name, full name you are taking, you are storing in this details variable and you are passing that details variable over here. Yeah, we can also use different name. Variable name can be whatever. If you refresh the form here, so as it is a new form, current logged in user first name, current logged in user name, current logged in user details are populated, right? I am going to change the value here. So Tyree. See, Tyree first name, last name, full name is populated here or not? So on value change on the caller field, these values are populated or not? Whoever the caller you select, whoever the caller you select here. So Shanna. See, Shanna details are populated or not? So on value change on the caller field, these details are getting populated or not? Hmm? If I give you a requirement, okay, the requirement is actually create two fields, location, email. Location, email. Location is a reference type field, email is a string type field. As soon as you change the caller here, caller location, caller email address should be populated on those two fields. Will you be able to do that, guys? Will you be able to do that?
Sir, can you please repeat once more?
So as soon as you select the caller here, respective caller location and email address should be populated on the caller and location fields. See, first step you have to create two fields here. One is location field. Another one is email field. Yeah. One is location field. Another one is email field. So location field is a reference field which should reference location table. There is a table called location which should reference location table. And then there should be another field called email. These two fields you have to create. As soon as you select the caller here, this caller has location and email address, right? Email address and location. See, location and email address, right? This location value and email address value should be populated on those two fields. Will you be able to do that? Hmm? Okay. Okay. I will actually explain that scenario as well.
Sir, can you show me the script?
Which script?
Yeah, just now we have read.
Which I created or which I am actually explaining?
Which you have created.
Yes.
I think here we can put get form, get reference, ucolor dot email. So we'll get the email ID, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Good
sir.
understanding.
Yeah.
Yes. So in place of location, you have to select keep location field name. Okay. So let me just explain that requirement as well. The requirement is actually you have to create two fields. One is location field, which should difference location table. That is a reference field. Another field is actually string type field. The field name is actually email. So you have to create those two fields here, just below the caller details. As soon as you change the caller here, respective caller email address and location should be populated on those two fields. Location should be populated in the location field. Email address should be populated in the email field. So that is the requirement. So for that, I am going to create two fields here. Right click, configure client scripts. Sorry, I have to create fields, right? Right click, configure form design. Okay. Location. So client will ask you these kind of requirements only. Reference type. So table is actually location table. There is a table called location. So you can see different location tables are there. CMN underscore location table. So client will tell you which table also. Location, email. Two fields I created. I'm just adding under caller details field. Okay. As soon as I change the caller here, respective caller location email should be populated here. Okay. I can either create another client script or I can either use same client script. Either I can create another client script or I can also use this script only. So what I do here, I will get extra location and email. So what I do, mail. So here you have to specify email. Okay. Location. You have to specify location. So here you have to set two field values. Email field value, location field value you have to set. G underscore form dot set value. Location field name is actually U underscore location. Comma. You will pass this location here. Okay. Sorry, we have mistake. Two fields are location fields. One we have to change it as email. Okay. Mail is a string field, right? I am going to refresh the form. Okay. So as soon as I change the color here, okay, as soon as I change the color here, that color details are populated, location is populated, and email is populated. Here, let me just select anyone, Stephen. So if when I click on this Stephen, right, it is taking some time to populate these values. At least 1 or 2 seconds time. Here, as soon as I select Reina, it is taking 1 or 2 seconds time and then populating the values. Okay. So client don't want the 2 seconds gap. Client don't want the 2 seconds gap. So lot of people will be using, lakhs of employees will be using this form. For everyone, there will be 2 seconds gap, right? So can't we reduce that 2 seconds gap? This is the question he will ask. Okay. So in that case, what we have to do is, we should not go for this approach. We should not go for this approach. Why we should not? Why we are able to see those 2 seconds gap? Why we are actually seeing those 2 seconds gap? Okay, try to understand this point clearly, guys. Try to understand this point clearly. We have written get reference 5 times. We have written get reference 5 times. It is actually getting this caller record values 5 times. This total record values, it is actually getting 5 times. First time this is getting this user ID, first name, last name, title, total details, it is actually getting first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. That is why it is taking 2 seconds time. Do you guys understand? So then instead of that, what I am doing, instead of writing those many times, I will actually remove these things. So I am writing only one time. Okay. And removing the first name here. Okay. So here inside the get reference after u underscore caller, I am going to define a callback function which will not take much time. Okay, which will not take much time. So here I am going to define callback. Callback. So in place of callback, you can name whatever. Caller details. Okay. Caller details. So you can remove this. You can just keep caller, or you can keep like that. You can keep it as it is as well, but remove first. Okay. So you have to define this callback function here. So, okay, inside that callback function, okay. So use this caller name here inside this function. Okay, caller name dot first name dot last underscore name dot name dot location dot email. I have written get reference only one time. Only first time I am actually getting these record values. Out of these record values, I am getting the first name, last name, full name, location, email. All details I am actually getting at a time. Earlier, I have written get reference 5 times, right? Instead of writing 5 times, I have written only 1 time. Okay. And then I have used callback function within this get reference. Inside this callback function, I am actually passing this caller name. Here, you guys can see caller name. So using this get reference, I'm actually getting the first name, last name, full name. I'm actually concatenating them here. After concatenating them, I'm actually populating in the caller details field. And location, directly I'm passing here. Caller name, I'm actually, caller email, I'm actually passing here. So let me just save this one. This time it will not be there will not be any gap, 2 or 3 seconds gap. There will not be any gap. Because at a time we are actually getting all these values, right? So I am going to select this Timothy. Is there any gap? No. You did not see any gap here, right? There is no gap. It did not actually wait for 1 or 2 seconds. Immediately it did populate or not. So what exactly this is doing? This callback is doing. This is called callback. What exactly it is doing is that it is actually getting the details at a time. Instead of 5 times, it is actually getting details 1 time. That too, it is not waiting for that values. If you closely take a look at here, if I select a value here, first this value is getting populated, and after that these values are getting populated. That means this callback function is actually running in the background without waiting for 1 or 2 seconds, right? It is running in the background. It is not causing any form holding. Did it make sense to you guys? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So remember this requirement, guys. They will ask you, how do we populate based on the selection of particular field? So when you change the person here, that person detail should be changed automatically. Then you have to write on change client script. So using that on change client script, you will actually populate those values here. So callback function is the best practice.
Sir,
Yeah.
that email address is there, no, sir? If we change that email, entire things will change.
So here email address is there. If you change this, remaining should be changed automatically. Is that question?
Yeah, sir.
So client will not ask you to do that. So in that case, what we will do, we will make these fields read only.
Okay, sir.
Understand?
Okay, okay.
So if you make caller details, location field, email field read only, these will be these field values will be populated using script, right? Let me do that for you.
And mostly it is ID, email ID, and name, sir. That's it.
Yes. So I am going to make this as read only. I'm also going to make this location field also read only. Okay. Now, if you change a value here, those values will be populated automatically. You won't be able to change it from here, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will give you another scenario. I will give you another scenario which you will feel little difficult. Okay. Let me just, so before that, let me just make it as editable. Jahnavi, you are able to understand the difference between writing get reference and writing callback function in the get reference? Hari, Saujanya,
Yes, sir.
Raghu.
Must and should, sir.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me just make this editable. Here, client will ask you if the value is selected, this value should be populated. Okay. This value should be populated. After populating this value, this field should be automatically be read only. Using script, we have to make read only. So let me just make this client script as inactive. It will be better now.
Sir, we will get the scripts in Google also.
Yeah, in the chat GPT, you can easily get.
Okay, sir.
Sir, are you sure? I am searching for many things actually.
Yeah, you can get it. You can get it in chat GPT easily. Chat GPT, I've done a lot of research on chat GPT. If you
Yeah,
are able
these
to,
days people are using interest also, sir.
yeah, really. So
Yeah.
you can just type how to get the caller values, the reference field. Just type it. Chat GPT will understand what exactly you are trying to ask, and it will give you some reference code. You can copy paste it and change the field names.
As per our media.
Yes. Okay.
I'm
So
understanding
guys,
the concept is fine. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, the another requirement is actually when there is no value, it should be editable. If you are selecting the value here, these values will be populated and these values should become read only. If it is empty, these values should be editable again. Values should be cleared.
The values are not leaving.
Yeah. See, when the value is empty, this value should be cleared and should be editable. If the value is selected here, should populate the values and should become read only. When you select the caller here, right, that caller value should be populated and should become read only. When you make it as empty, it should become, this value should become empty and should be editable. So on change client script only we have to write on the caller field. So here we have written on change client script only, right? Okay. So if you take a look at here, if new value equal to empty, if the new value equal to empty, this if condition will be written true. Okay. So here what we have to do, we have to clear all the field values. G underscore form dot clear value. What are all the fields? U underscore, caller underscore, details. This field, location field also you have to clear, right? location also.
What about the email, sir?
Sir, can't able to see.
You can't able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
No, sir, I am able to see.
I am able to see.
Let
Yeah,
me just
I'm able to see.
reshare the screen. So hope you all are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here you underscore email. So if the value equal to empty, what you are doing? You are actually clearing the value. You are clearing the values. I mean field values. And you have to make it editable, right? So G underscore form dot set read only, comma, false. Okay, if the value is empty, I'm actually clearing all the values and making editable. Okay. So here what I'm doing, I'm setting the value, right? Along with that, I'm going to make the field read only again. Okay. So I'm just refreshing the form here. See, for these requirements, they will give you 3 to 4 days. Don't try to do it in 1 hour or 15 minutes.
Okay, sir.
I know that you guys will try to do it in 15 minutes, but don't try to do it in 15 minutes. Spend as much time as you can. Try to understand the things better. Okay. Don't go in panic mode. This is actually when you take a look at the Java and you take a look at .NET scripts, right? You will be able to see 1,000 lines. Here you are able to see maximum 20. Don't get panic. Spend as much time as you can. See the things small. If you see the things big, right, they will sit on your head. If you go to the space, world will look like small. So you should have broad mind. Okay. So here, let me just refresh this one. On the form load, this is editable, and when it is empty, these fields are editable. So I am going to select Anusha Rajesh here. So Anusha Rajesh details are populated here and become read only, right? Again, if I make it as empty, these fields are now cleared and become editable, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Let me just select another user here. So when I select that user here, those details are populated here and become read only. And if I make it as empty, and these values are now become read only and values are cleared or not.
Sir, one question. Without selecting caller, can't we mention caller details by this option directly?
Yeah, that is why we are actually we are allowing you edit, right? Without caller also you can enter the values. Okay. So, but here caller field is a mandatory field, right? Color is a mandatory field. So when you
Yes.
select any color here, that particular details will be populated here.
Okay.
Understand? If the color is not a mandatory field, then whatever you have asked will work. See, this requirement also I have done. I will give you that use case as well. So there is a configuration item field, right? There is a configuration item field. This configuration item has company, support group, serial number. So here I have to create a field called company. I have to create a field called company. That is a reference field which should reference company table. I have to create a field called support group which should reference group table. I have to create a field called serial number. That is a string type field. So as soon as you select the configuration item here, those details should be populated on those fields and should become read-only. When you are removing the configuration item, those values should be removed and should become editable. This requirement I have done. The same requirement I am actually explaining here. But I did take some time. See, you will be given enough time. See, here after completing lot of requirements, I'm able to explain these things in quick way. But we guys have to do some analysis. We have to spend some time. We have to revise lot of documents, lot of YouTube channels. We have a lot of things available. See, when I was working as a fresher, right, there was not even single video on the YouTube. You have plenty of the videos available now on YouTube. Okay. So requirement for today is under configuration item field, create 3 fields. One is company, which should reference company table. Company table name is actually core_company. There should be a field that you should create here as company. That should be a reference field which should reference core company. Okay. Second, then you have to create a field called support group, which is also a reference field, which should reference group table. Third one, you have to create a field called serial number. That is actually a string field. Create these 3 fields. As soon as you select the configuration item, so this configuration item related company, support group, serial number should be populated on those fields and should become read only. Once you make it as empty, value should be cleared and should be editable. See, if I go in deep, right, there is one more requirement to the advanced to this one. Same requirement, but advanced. Okay. So in that case, we will feel little bit difficult. So client will tell you, see, this requirement is clear, right? When you select the configuration item, those 3 values those 3 fields that you created, right? Those field values should be populated respective values and should become read only. And once you make it as empty, those values should be cleared and should become editable. That is the requirement that you guys have to do. That is the assignment for you. Okay, fine. So this requirement, we'll come to this requirement. This requirement we completed, right? Okay. In addition to our requirement, extra thing customer added. So as soon as you select the color here, it should populate these values and should become read only, which is fine. When you making it as empty, it should be clear the values, it should be editable, but it should become read only. Sorry, it should become mandatory. It should become mandatory again. See, logic, try to understand the logic here.
Yes, sir.
When you select the caller here, okay, those values should be populated here and should become read-only, which is fine. When you make it as empty here, it should clear the values, it should become editable, it should become mandatory again. Okay. Then
Okay.
what we have to do? Here we have to go here. G_form dot
Set mandatory.
comma boolean value as true. Okay. So do you guys think this is enough? No, I will tell you. We are making fields mandatory, which is fine. So let me just refresh the form. Okay. So here, these are mandatory, which is fine. It is actually expecting as per our requirement. When it is empty, these values should be editable, cleared, and should become read-only. It's mandatory, which is fine. As soon as I am selecting here, right? So see here. So these values are getting populated and is getting read-only. Okay. Let me just select this one, which is fine. Okay. We achieved the requirement. But some cases not on this form, in the catalog form, there will be another catalog form similar to this form, which we haven't started discussing. There is a separate topic called catalog items. In that case, right, we cannot make mandatory fields as read-only. Here we are making mandatory fields as read-only, right? In the catalog forms, we cannot make catalog fields as read-only if these are mandatory. So in that case, what we will do, before we make them read-only, right, we will make them mandatory false. We will make them mandatory false. So before we make them read-only, right, we will make them mandatory false. Okay. So if I refresh the form here, okay, if I refresh the form here, so here it is actually working as expected. If I select some value here, see these fields are, these values are set, and mandatory false, and it has become read only. If I make it as empty here, values are cleared, become editable, and become read only, sorry, mandatory.